DC Multiverse!
So, how's it going there, super friends? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brad, the DC Universe Geek, for those of you who may be new here. And today, I'd like to review for you the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Rebirth Martian Manhunter action figure. The box art for this Martian Manhunter: classic black, white, and blue, like the rest of the DC Multiverse. The back, you have an image of the character and some other figures that you can buy if you're a DC Multiverse collector. Got that one, don't have that one yet, got that one, and have that one too. This figure, as you can see, doesn't really come with any accessories, just the figure stand, and the trading card, which, by the way, looks really awesome. I really like the direction that Todd's gone with his trading cards. I wonder if he has another version of this character with light up eyes, because these ones are clearly lit up. And the back has Jon Jones's bio. You can pause to read that if you'd like to. And if not, we'll move straight to the figure. The toe to head, love it. Love it. Love the texture of this guy. There's not a whole lot in the way of paint apps for him. There is some red edging on his sash and on his boots, also around his chest harness, as well as yellow accents for the medallions around his waist and that hold his cape on. But the green tone of this figure, as usual, as is Todd's way, has been molded in the color plastic he wants the base of the figure to be in. The face sculpt for this Martian Manhunter is amongst my favorites. I like the very Martian-y look for him, the modern take on the marshmallow brow that this character has. You can see that mine's actually got a packaging scuff, but other than that, this is a fantastic looking profile for Jon Jones. Before we have a look at him up close and in hand, here he is compared to a whole whack of other Martian Manhunter action figures that came before him. And here he is next to a version of the Justice League. These are all McFarlane Toys versions. He looks great, looks like he fits in, and here he is next to an alternate lineup of the Justice League, using different figures, and in a few cases, different characters. Now, in hand, up close and personal, we can see some of the details that you may miss, like the texture of Jon Jones's skin. That's pretty cool that they actually included that with this figure. And he's got big veiny biceps. That seems to be like a thing. If you're making a Martian Manhunter figure, he must have great big veins. And I'm down with that, actually. As usual, the suit has texture on it everywhere. And the boots are different than the legs. That is very cool. I'm always down for that. You've got the leathery chest harness there. You can see these little tiny circles here. They've sculpted those in too. I will say the only thing that I think is kind of awkward is how thick the cape is with these medallions that hold the cape on. That is just a little bit awkward looking, but that's not really something to complain about. That's just a personal kind of nitpick. It's a personal nitpick. I do like the texture of this cape. I don't always like the texture, the thickness of the fabric, the weave of characters' capes that McFarlane does, but this one is a nice texture, and it's a really soft rubber. This is not a harder cape. This is a nice, softer one. I can crunch that right up into a ball. Not really understanding why he comes with an open grabby hand, considering he doesn't come with an accessory to grab. I would rather him just come with two closed hands, or heck, even come with some of those DC Universe off-brand Oreos. That would have been kind of fun. A bag of those would have been a hilarious accessory. Now, when we look at his articulation, you'd look at this figure and think, well, he probably doesn't have a lot of articulation in the torso because that harness. Oh, wait a minute. Look at that. That's actually really good. The waist and the torso together are going to give you lots and lots of movement there. Those gigantic abs do not get in the way one bit. He even has more down-looking articulation, more forward crunch than, we get with a lot of McFarlane's figures. The arms being on those rounded hinges and having that socket there that kind of fits around, they get pretty good articulation, all things considered. You will run into some problems if you're trying to get his arms out straight for a flight pose. They did try to make this out of a nice soft rubber so it gets in the way as little as possible, but you can only do so much. That's pretty good, though. That is pretty good, considering he's got these big shoulder pauldrons there. The head on a ball joint. I usually start with that, so I'll just jump to it now. And it goes back far, and then you've got the body that is flight pose worthy. I will say that is flight pose worthy. Let's get the arm involved in this mess too. What do you think? Flight pose worthy? Can we call that a flight pose? I think so. I think that's pretty good. Those double jointed elbows are very useful. They crunch right up. He does have the rounded hinges in the wrist, although I want to point out that Todd's team has started adding a little bit of sculpted detail to the wrists so that we get the benefit of that rounded hinge and all the posability, but it might not look quite so much like a big round ugly ball. Down here, under the sash, the Martian has typically what you would expect. I'm curious, is there any roundabout motion? No, there's really none. But there is this kind of thing going on. The top part of his pants there sort of gets in the way, as we come to expect, but that's not too terrible. Double jointed knees, they're gonna do what double jointed knees do. That's close enough, that's crunchy enough for me. And of course, the ankles, we know what they're gonna do. Rounded hinge, pivot, and toe crunch, toe articulation. There we go. So as you can see, not an altogether terrible range of articulation. I'll take it. And as for the figure, what do I think of it? What are my final thoughts? Martian Manhunter is one of those characters that it's usually an immediate buy. Look, I've even got one more that I forgot to put in the video. Those of us trying to collect together enough characters to have a sufficient Justice League, I think all of us will find ourselves very much pleased with the quality of this Martian Manhunter. He's probably going to turn out to be one of my most favoritist Martian Manhunter figures ever. If Todd had decided to make this one a classic looking John Jones, one that admittedly probably a lot of people who are not old school DC Comics fans would not have preferred the look of, I think I would have liked it even more, but this is still absolutely fantastic. One of Todd's best as far as I'm concerned. Call me biased, because I am probably biased. I'm always happy to receive basic characters rather than umpteen Batman figures. And it's figures like this that make it so I can't wait to see what he has in store for the future. But I guess I'll leave it here. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. It means a lot to me, and I will see you in the next one. Have a super awesome DC day, everybody, and take care.